Authorities are investigating after a 34-year-old woman was fatally shot over the weekend. At 5:29 p.m. on Saturday the 12th of August, authorities responded to the Valero gas station at 900 West Hildebrand Avenue in San Antonio, Texas on reports of shots fired. When officers arrived, they found a woman in a critical condition with multiple gunshot wounds to her head and chest. She was transported to a local hospital, where she succumbed to her injuries the next day. The woman was identified as Deanna Mason. Police believe the suspect and the woman arrived at the gas station in the same vehicle. After the shooting occurred, the suspect fled in that vehicle. No arrests have been made to date, and the motive of the attack is unclear, as the investigation into the matter continues. 4 people behind bars for abducting, beating and caging a middle-aged woman. At around 2:10 p.m. on Saturday the 12th of August, authorities were called to a home in the 5100 block of Barnett Place in Pine Hills, Florida, after a female victim who was in her 40s knocked on a door pleading for help. She said that she'd been held against her will at a nearby property but managed to escape. When deputies arrived at the scene, they found the unnamed woman with minor injuries. Deputies went to the suspect's house down the road at 1101 Emerado Road, and after a 6-hour standoff, the suspects exited the home and surrendered. 37-year-old Monica Reed, 39-year-old Cortez Jackson, 21-year-old Kevin Holmes, and 19-year-old Damon Tromp were arrested. They were charged with armed kidnapping with intent to commit a felony and false imprisonment with a weapon. Monica is facing an additional charge of aggravated battery with a firearm after police said she pistol whipped the victim in the cheek while taking her hostage. Authorities said the 4 suspects abducted and imprisoned the woman against her will to terrorise her and inflict bodily harm. This was done to obtain the victim's address regarding a potentially stolen item. The victim was forced inside a vehicle at gunpoint where her hands were tied with a cord. The suspects also duct taped the victim's hands and feet together and her mouth shut. Cortez, Kevin and Damon further helped to physically restrain the victim inside the car when she attempted to escape. She was then kept in a dog cage in a shed in Monica's backyard when she somehow managed to escape and sought help from nearby residents. Court records show Monica was previously arrested 8 times with accusations ranging from burglary, criminal mischief, battery, witness tampering, stalking, to hitting a pregnant woman. Cortez has more than a dozen arrests including drug charges, robbery, domestic violence and attempted first-degree murder. A 31-year-old woman is behind bars after stabbing an 85-year-old woman. At around 4:20 p.m. on Friday the 11th of August, authorities responded to a home in the 700 block of Presbyterian Avenue in Madison, Indiana on reports of a disturbance. When officers arrived at the premises, they found an elderly woman living there with multiple stab wounds to her chest and arm. The victim told police that she was sitting in a chair when a woman she didn't know came into her home and assaulted her. Police were quickly able to establish Ashley Nicole Johnson as a suspect. They also located the knife believed to be used in the assault. The victim was initially transported to Norton King's Daughters Health Hospital before being airlifted to a Louisville hospital for additional treatment and care, where she was admitted in a stable condition. Authorities located and arrested Ashley that same day and charged her with attempted murder, burglary, and aggravated battery. She's held at the Jefferson County Jail on a $250,000 bond. The investigation into the matter continues. 71-year-old Michael Manis is behind bars for fatally suffocating his wife and trying to cover up the murder. At just after 5 p.m. on Saturday the 12th of August, authorities responded to a residence at 110 Hamilton Avenue in Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey. Michael called 911 to report that he'd come home to find his wife Judith Manis dead and possibly beaten. He added that there might have been a robbery at their home. Police immediately responded to the scene, and Judith was pronounced dead at 5:47 p.m. Detectives learnt that on Friday the 11th of August, Michael fatally suffocated his wife with a pillow. He then staged a robbery to conceal the murder prior to contacting authorities. He ransacked part of the home and hid a jewelry in the basement ceiling. He also threw out some of her other belongings in the dumpster behind a 7-Eleven located about a mile away at 300 Hackensack Street in Woodridge. Detectives obtained a search warrant of the home where the couple lived since 1996 and recovered the valuables from the basement, as well as locating items tossed in the 7-Eleven dumpster. Investigators also reviewed surveillance footage from neighbouring homes. On Sunday the 13th of August, during questioning with detectives, Michael confessed to using a pillow to suffocate his wife until she became limp and unresponsive. He was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, desecrating human remains, hindering the apprehension of oneself, and false report to police. He's held at the Bergen County Jail without bond. The motive of the attack is unclear, as the investigation into the matter continues. A couple are behind bars for fatally beating a man using a frying pan and baseball bat. At around 6:40 p.m. on Friday the 11th of August, authorities responded to a 911 call from a townhouse in the 700 block of Mariners Way in Norfolk, Virginia on report of an unresponsive man. When officers arrived at the townhouse, they found 45-year-old Jose Moreno deceased inside the residence at the bottom of the staircase, with several deep lacerations on his head and cuts and bruises on his face and neck. Investigators learned that 50-year-old James Lynch and his wife 43-year-old Christy Lynch placed the 911 call, but waited and went out before contacting police. James and Christy confessed to killing Jose inside the home after an argument turned physical. They told detectives they hit Jose with a frying pan and then proceeded to beat him on the head and knees with a baseball bat. They also put a dog leash around his neck and admitted to causing his injuries. It's unclear what the couple and Jose started fighting over or how they knew each other. Christy told detectives that her and her husband have been in Norfolk for 6 years and have hated every minute of it. James has a list of previous offences from when he lived in the state of New York, including assault. James and Christy were arrested and charged with second-degree murder and held at the Norfolk City Jail without bond. The investigation into the matter continues. A 22-year-old man is behind bars for fatally shooting a 34-year-old pregnant woman who was a passenger in the car. At 5:21 p.m. on Saturday the 5th of August, authorities responded to the 400 block of Rockdale Avenue in Cincinnati, Ohio after receiving a shot spotter alert and a 911 call of a woman shot. When officers arrived, they found a crime scene but there was no victim on scene. During the investigation, police discovered a woman had arrived at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center with a gunshot wound and died shortly thereafter. The victim was identified as Nia Booker. Nia was 9 months pregnant at the time, and doctors managed to deliver a baby girl who survived. Detectives learned that Nia was a front seat passenger in a car heading to the 127 yard sale with a friend and 3 of her children aged 7, 8 and 9 who were sitting in the back seat when someone pulled up beside them in another vehicle. An argument erupted outside and several shots were fired into the car's passenger side, striking Nia. Nia told her children to get down, possibly saving their lives. Apart from being emotionally distraught, the children were not physically injured. Nia's 9-year-old daughter was able to call 911 after her mother was shot. Upon further investigation, authorities identified Miquan Barfield as a suspect. On the 10th of August, Miquan was arrested and charged with murder, felonious assault, obstruction of official business, and failure to comply with police. He was previously in custody for reckless driving and driving under suspension. He is held at the Hamilton County Jail on a $1,810,000 bond. Nia's mother, Darlene Booker Powell, said that Nia was a single mother of 5 who worked as a nurse's aide for 16 years and was never involved in gang activity. She believes that she was not the intended target in the shooting. She said that she'll be raising the children. The investigation into the matter continues. A 53-year-old man is behind bars after fatally shooting his 27-year-old son during a physical altercation. At around 11 p.m. on Sunday the 13th of August, authorities responded to an apartment on the 7100 block of Foxborough Drive in Indianapolis, Indiana on reports of a disturbance. When officers arrived, they found 27-year-old Oliver Johnson unresponsive on the kitchen floor with a wooden baseball bat in his hand. He had sustained severe trauma to his head and he was pronounced dead at 11:10 p.m. Investigators said there was an altercation between close family members which resulted in Oliver getting injured. Inside the home, Marin County Crime Lab officials located a black automatic rifle and a handgun lying on a cot near Oliver's body. The crime lab team found a bullet casing on the floor and a bullet hole in the wall. A spent bullet was later found on the window ledge in the apartment next door. The coroner's office determined that Oliver died from gunshot wounds to the neck and head. Detectives subsequently identified Oliver's father, Rolf Johnson, as the primary suspect, who had fled the scene before police arrived. Investigators learned that Rolf contacted his other son who told him to contact police because Oliver tried to hit him. So he hit him back and there was blood everywhere and he killed him. The other son went to the apartment and provided police with information about his father's vehicle. Within an hour, police tracked Rolf's car, a blue Honda Fit, roughly 4 miles away at the intersection of Pendleton Pike and Sunnyside Road and pulled him over. He had dry blood on his pant leg and declined to speak with investigators. He was arrested without incident and he was charged with murder. He's held at the Marin County Jail without bond. Family members said that Rolf and Oliver lived in the apartment together, and it's unclear what the fight was about. The investigation into the matter continues.